So when you're researching photographers, you may well come across some photographers who call themselves natural light photographers, or who say things on their websites like, I shoot exclusively with natural light. So you might be wondering, what does this mean? And is it better than shooting with other kinds of light? Well, in this video, I'm going to explain the differences between natural light photography and studio light photography, and why I believe there's a place for both when it comes to choosing your photographer. So first of all, what is natural light photography? Well, as the name suggests, it really is when a photographer makes use of the natural light that's naturally around us to take their photograph. But that's not as straightforward as just going outside anytime you like and taking a photograph. If a photographer truly understands natural light, then they'll make choices about the best time of day, maybe even the best day, the best location, the best place for you to stand, the best positioning, and they'll use that light to the best possible effect to create beautiful photographs. You'll also find that some photographers will modify the natural light in some way. So they might use a reflector, which you can use to bounce light back at your subject, or they might use something called a scrim, which you can use to soften the light, but perhaps if it's very hard, very direct sunlight. So what you'll probably find is a whole spectrum of different approaches to natural light photography, from photographers who will just photograph you outside or next to a window at any time, to photographers who will very carefully select the day, the time of day, the position, the location, the poses, and the kind of modifiers they use to make the absolute best of that natural light. So second, what's studio light photography? So studio light photography, as the name suggests, can be in a studio where you use big lights or small lights to light your subject instead of using the light around you. But we don't just use studio lights in a studio. They can be used anywhere, in your home, outside, and they can create a number of different effects. So very simply, you can use it to light your subject. You can also use studio lights to do things like create a fake sunset outside, to create the effect of sun, to create the effect of natural daylight indoors. There's lots of different ways that you can use studio lights, and photographers use a range of different lights and modifiers to create these effects. So you might see a photographer using huge umbrellas, you might see them using very small dishes on top of their flash, you might see them putting orange gels on top of their lights to give it a different colour. There's lots of different ways and really endless opportunities with studio lights to create different effects. Something that a lot of photographers also do increasingly now is blend natural light and studio light together. So you might go outside and use the studio lights to enhance the light that's around you. So perhaps you use it to give a bit of extra coverage to your subject, or as I said earlier, you might use this studio light to give other special effects. For example, make it look like it's sunset when it's not. So when you're choosing a photographer to work with, does it matter whether they use natural light or studio light? Well, I believe that it doesn't. I think what's more important is that your photographer understands how to create the images that you're expecting, regardless of what light is around you. So for example, if you're having a photo shoot at home and a photographer usually shoots with natural light, then it's going to be probably very easy for them to recreate the effect they need on a bright sunny day in the middle of the year. If you take that same house in the middle of January on a gloomy winter's day, then you may not be able to recreate that effect. And it might be that depending on the photographer's style, they need to add in some flash or add in some studio light to create the same effect that you would have had in the summer. So what's more important is that your photographer can handle all different kinds of situations to create the photographs that you expect, whether they use natural light alone, natural light with a modifier, one flash, two flash, natural light with flash. It doesn't really matter, provided that they're going to create the kind of photographs that you expect from their portfolio. I hope you found this video useful in explaining the difference between natural light photography and studio light photography. If you have any other questions about baby photography or family photography, do let me know. You can let me know in the comments below or send me a message via my website.